Well, hello, beautiful people of planet Earth and all other interdimensional entities of love, light, peace, joy, goodness, kindness, mercy, compassion, healing, cosmic consciousness, awakening to this beautiful, magical planet we all reside upon. It's the 16th of January. I'm frowning because no sooner I start, they start banging, and they were quiet before. Could be a coincidence though. Anyway, where were we? I'll just check, it is the 16th of January actually. Yes, it is indeed the 16th of January 2026. Ow! Whitey, whitey ants. And the time is... oh, you have to laugh. 1:17 p.m. Just going to take a sip of water. I've got the birdie boys outside. It's scathing hot. It said it would be 32 degrees today, but actually feels hotter. And it was an effort to put everything and everyone outside, but here they are doing their little munching on their fruit and fossicking and running around his cage, being a busy little cockatiel. And Kermie's gone into his toy box, and they're really happy. As soon as I say we're going out in the garden, they're like, well, they don't say yay, but the equivalent of yay. And it's good to be outside. We've got the scrub turkey eating as well, having a good old munch. And the crows were here. I put the food out for the crows initially because they were both asking politely. And it's very quiet here. It's Friday, so Shabbat Shalom to those of you of the Jewish persuasion. Shabbat starts at sunset this evening. And it's peaceful and it's lovely. And as you can see, I've had a shower and washed my hair. And yeah, life's pretty good. So let us continue on with reading from Amanda Scott's Boadicea. Chapter 37. Sun on sun on sun on polished metal, making more sun blindingly. Corvus rode south at noon at the height of hot summer, with 2 legions of infantry marching in full armour ahead of him, and a cloud of flies feeding about his face. He wanted to bandage his eyes to take away the glare. He wanted to stuff cotton in his ears to dull the hammer of nailed feet and the clash of harness and the interminable, bloody marching chants of the cohorts, forever out of key. That would be a bit annoying after a while. I guess you'd learn to tune it out though, wouldn't you? Sounds like he's just in a bad mood. He wanted to slay every fly in the province and then drink unceasingly from cold water from mountain streams that splashed down through dim valleys to pools where only moonlight reached. He wanted to be back on the straits by Mona, or in the fortress of the 20th, or in Cumulodunum, even if it had burned. He wanted to be anywhere, but not on an open road with legionaries marching 6 abreast in double time ahead of him and a baggage train moving almost, but not quite, as fast, and himself, the teeth in the serpent's tail at the end, to make sure the rear guard could bite when, not if, it was attacked. Even wolves, the alpha wolf in a wolf pack, leads from the back, people of Earth. They put the females and the young in the middle of the, in the middle of the trail, I guess, whatever you call, in the middle of their line. And the younger, fiercer males are right out the front at the beginning of the line. But the leader, the alpha, is always in the back watching over everything and everyone. Wolves are very clever animals. Right, where were we? He regretted ever having devised that strategy, and loathed the man, whosoever who might be, who had told the governor of it and encouraged him to use it now. The heat wave was in its 3rd day. The memory of the storms had gone from the men and the land. The flies were unspeakable, and he chose not to think of them. Almost as bad was the gritty dust that clogged the air and settled on the mane of his bay battle mare and her harness, and filtered through into Corvus's neck and his waist and his groin, abrading them steadily so that already he could feel the ooze of blood where his belt sat over his mail. I should go to North Stradbroke Island tomorrow. I've decided it'd be nice to go and sit on a beach somewhere. I'll have to go alone, but it's not so bad. Might make some friends with nice people on the beach. Might not. Does it really matter? No, but the sea is calling me. When the sea calls me, I obey. Don't take care of me, he says, but Mama, if you go away for a day trip, us birdies will be all on our own all day. I know, but I'll put the radio on and you'll have lots of water and lots of yummy things to eat, and it won't be so bad. Day of quiet without the Mama T talking to you. No, Mama, I don't like it when you go away. I hardly ever go anywhere, boys. You have to calm your farm. Mama needs to live her life too sometimes. By all the gods, I really do need to be living my life. He checked his saddlecloth for the 100th time and made himself believe his favourite battle mount was not being similarly damaged. That's going to be loud and annoying. But I had to wash all my bras, ran out of bras to wear. I mean, I've got black bras, but I ran out of my lighter coloured bras. I usually keep on top of it, but oh well, c'est la vie, babies. It's been hot. Very, very hot. Do birdie boys want a spritz? Do you want a spritz up there? How hot is this water? Make sure it's not too hot. No, it's nice and cool. Spritz time. Spritzies. Spritz. You're like, oh, I hate that, but I like it, but I hate it, but I like it, but I hate it. Oh, Kimmy, it's not so bad. Calm down. It's only water. You won't melt. Right. Is that nice? See, that's nice. Shaking it off. Right, where were we? He drank from his water skin and poured a little onto his palm and wiped his face, then leaned forward and rubbed his damp hand between the mare's ears, batting away the flies and murmuring to her all the while, "It's past noon, the worst is over, walk steady and all will be well." He had taken to talking to the mare for the past 2 days, since shortly after the governor's small party riding north had met the legions marching south with the remainder of his wing, the Quinta Gallorum, as escort. The meeting had been welcome on both sides, and the reunion joyful. But within a day, Corvus had run out of things to say to Sabinius, who carried the standards and led the wing in his commander's absence. Excuse me. I'm craving for ice cream and chocolate. Dear goodness, I've run out of both. I ran out of both a few days ago, actually. What are we going to do, Bo? He says, "You don't need ice cream and chocolate, Mama. You've got me. You don't taste like ice cream and chocolate, and I've got no intentions of eating you." "That's good, Mama," he says. "I've got no intentions of eating you either." Although if he gets an opportunity, he still bites me every opportunity. Me, little bird. Well, where were we? The mare on the whole was more rewarding to talk to. She did not contradict him and rarely answered back, while Sabinius was very likely to do both. He had been escorting infantry in hostile territory for nearly 20 years. He knew exactly how long the day was, and that the worst almost certainly was not over. The standard bearer grunted now and narrowed his eyes to peer through the shimmering heat haze ahead. He said, "You have never told me how far south we are going to march. If Vespasian's bridge and Verulamium are both destroyed, then there is nothing left to reach." "Hello, turkeys. You're back. Come on then. You have some water and some seeds. Yes, it's all for you. I know, it's a shitty hot day. What can I say? Australia, mate. Australia. But, you know. It's okay. It's only another 4 or 5 months of this hell. Winter came early last year, early in June. I mean, winter officially sort of starts in June, but it doesn't normally get really cold till July, August. But it was early last winter. Everything was early. Yes, my darling. I know, you're a hot birdie. You want to go in the bird bath? It's probably hot too. Go on then. That's because I don't know. I don't think Paulinus knows. We can perhaps march to the west of the bridge and find another way across the river, but I can't imagine we'll reach it. We face a rebel army that best estimates put at 15 to 20,000 warriors, and we are less than 7,000 strong. Where we meet them is largely academic, I think, only that we must, and that if we march like this, so their scouts can see us from half a day away without ever needing to come within range, then we will call them to us and won't have to go looking for them. Paulinus will have his final, glorious battle. Right. There she is, facing the wrong way. Have to give her a little tweak with the pliers. What's this one doing? She's facing forwards. She's facing outwards. Oh, what can I say? Dollies. Dollies. And we will all die gloriously. There's nothing glorious about dying, people of Earth. It's just a fucking end of one state and the beginning of another. All these idiotic ideas about dying and glory on a battlefield, slaughtering other people. For what? For other men's greed and corruption. It's quite insane. All of it. Right, but that was a Roman mentality, wasn't it? Dying gloriously. Sabinius swiped absently at a horsefly and looked up at the unsullied sky. As long as someone lives to take word to Rome. Paulinus has pigeons that will fly to Gaul with his report of all those who should be rewarded for their courage. Our names will stand forever in the annals of the Senate. Where are their names now, people of Earth? Trodden into the dust like everything is temporary. Yes, my darling. The two females, I believe. Two females. Maybe a young male, because he's getting what looks like a bit of a waddle. Are you having fun in this scorching Queensland heat? No, Mama, it's shitful. It's climate change. Probably is it, you know. It's always been hot. This is a sunburnt country after all. More burnt than ever. Burning on its own ignominy and treachery of its own human species. Well, they betrayed themselves, did they not? Absolute disgrace and folly that was. But what was I saying? Everything and everyone is temporary. If the dreamers' falcons don't pull the birds out of the sky and eat them before they get anywhere close to Gaul, thank you, yes, if that. This was why Corvus talked to his horse. It was measurably less depressing. It's true, it does get a bit depressing sometimes. You have to think happy thoughts. Happy thoughts are 2 turkeys came and ate and thanked me in their little grunt language. 2 crows came and ate and thanked me, cawing in the trees. 2 little pet birds are sitting in their cage watching everything go by, living their best lives as cage birds. And 1 fat hobbit, psychedelic dreamer, Mama T, Miss 5, is enjoying the sunshine in her garden. It's not so bad, is it? Being bitten in impossible places, which is annoying, but c'est la vie, babies. Right, we carry on. Kind of hungry. Trying to think what I'm going to eat for lunch. I got up late today. I slept nearly 11 hours. I wore myself out a couple of days ago with all that grinding of opals and making alpaca spun wool, and what was the other thing I did? Oh, my daily stories to you. Wore myself out. That happens. What can I do to stop the ants from biting? I tried Rid the other day. That didn't work, but I might just try it again, because they really are interminable. Hang on a sec. Driving me a bit bonkers. Right you are. Sorry it took so long. I stopped to hang up the braziers because Otto Titsling needs to be addressed, people of Earth. addressed or redressed. Dear Goddess. Right, let's see if they back off on the bites now. Let's hope so. I feel like they're crawling on me, but they're not. There's no ants there now. I just sat down. Give it a few minutes and it'll be back to anarchy and chaos. Right, where were we? Ah yes, being measurably less depressed. They fell to silence then. Ahead, the 4 cohorts of the shrunken 20th Legion set up a new marching chant. They were fewer than 2,000, and all of them veterans of old campaigns, by sickness and nightmares and the savage waters of the Straits, had the dreamers of Mona culled out the youths and the less seasoned men. Those left alive, therefore, were the fittest and the best. Sadly, they were also those who had spent 2 decades of winters devising new words to go with the old settled rhythms of the march. They began rustily until the ones who knew the words had passed them on. Surprisingly soon, all 2,000 men caught on and built the volume, the better to drown out the competition coming from the 14th in front. Against his better judgment, Corvus listened to the increasingly coherent snatches that rose up through the billowing dust. A complex triple rhyme involving heat and dust and insurgency, and all saved from ruin by the wide brown eyes of a boy from Alexandria. Even for one jaundiced by nearly 30 years in the legions, it was clever, and he grinned the first time he caught it all, and still smiled for the second and third repeats. Ow, they're still getting me. Damn it, it hurt right up on my hip. Hello, Mr. Crow, you're having a swim. Good boy. Good birdie. By the 10th or 20th, or perhaps the 20th, he wanted cotton again for his ears, and, lacking it, set his mind adrift to Alexandria, which was hotter, certainly, than the land through which he was riding, and dustier, and quite definitely more prone to lethal intrigue and insurgency against anyone who attempted to govern the ungovernable. Where is this creature biting me now? Honestly. It had not, in his experience, been saved by the wide brown eyes of any boy, although there had been a man, and his eyes had indeed been brown, and a great deal of Corvus's life's path, if he thought about it, stemmed from that man and all he had offered, and the result could be considered salvation, if one chose to look at it in that light. The day was hot, and images flowed easily, borne on the beat of marching feet and a scurrilous song that managed to link every officer in both legions and both wings of cavalry by anatomically improbable methods to the brown-eyed Alexandrian youth. A small bronze statue of Horus took wings from Corvus's back and lifted over the mirage of the marching men. Its one jet eye winked at him and became the brown eye of an Alexandrian man, full of wisdom and care, and dead so very much too early. The bird soared high. From its height a man's voice. Just bear with me. Schmutzy glasses drives me mad too. Right. From its height a man's voice said, "What does it profit a man to serve the gods of two worlds?" He had always spoken thus, setting riddles in his arcane Alexandrian tongue in a voice smooth as quicksilver and sweet as ambrosia. The answers were never to be found where first one sought them. Determined not to try, Corvus set his mind drift and drift again, and, as it always did when drifting, it came eventually to a black-eyed, solemn, thoughtful boy of the Iceni, and the painful trail he had walked to become an officer in the Roman cavalry, fearing for his ferocity by those who feared for his ferocity by those who fought on both sides of the conflict in Britannia, and named traitor in Rome because he had made the mistake of pledging oath and honour to an emperor in the days before his dying. No, they're still biting viciously. I'm going to have to find their nest and kill them all. I don't like killing. I kill them when they bite me and I wipe them off my skin, but I don't like going around killing ant nests, and everything has its place, people of Earth. Little boy, what are you doing? Right. He thought of the man that boy had become, and the sight of him on a pied horse, standing over the procurator of all Britannia, with murder in his eyes, and something quite different shining from his heart. That desire for glory and power, people of Earth. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I feel like there's an ant crawling into my hair. There probably is. Not imagining it. Great, ants in my hair. Oh well. Right, where were we? I should do this inside in the air conditioning where there's no thickened ants and it's nice and cool, people of Earth. Why am I suffering like this? Curious minds want to know. Because it's nice in the garden. Right, here we go. To his bay battle mare Corvus murmured, "But Valerius is given to Mithras, the bull slayer. He serves only him, a god of the world he has left behind. The gods of the Iceni would not accept him. Why not? For 5 paces more, Corvus remained in quiet reverie. Then his world broke into shards as a glass that is thrown at a white marble wall. Sabinius, signal alert forward and back. He barely recognised his own voice. Out of nowhere he had found the spit and crispness of early morning and the certainty of battle command. Worried about that female turkey. She's got a slight limp. She's talking and she's just laid down under the shade of there's not much shade there either, stupid bird. But she's just laid down under the coffee tree and lifted her wing up and trying to cool under her body. Oh, sweetheart. She's really not coping, you know. The other bird's fine. Coming to annoy her now. Won't leave her in bloody peace. Typical man. Here he comes. No, he's walking past and hasn't bothered her, but she's jumped up anyway because she doesn't trust him with her assets, people of Earth. Why would you? She's laid back down again. He's scrabbling on the mound. It's a different turkey though. It's normally the male that scrabbles on the mound's got a really long waddle. He's scrabbling in the mound to lie down in the cool and the moistness of the mound, which is actually smarter than the female who's lying in the hot fucking sun like a doofus. She's realised she's gone under the lime tree now. They can't get comfortable, poor things. Right, back to the story, people of Earth. A Sabinius standard flitted in the breeze, twice forward, twice back. A trumpeter in the infantry took up the signal and sent it forward up the line. Another sent it back at a different pitch. Every man of the 7,000 up to and including the governor knew whence came the order, and so whom to blame if it were wrong. Corvus looked about. The mirage was gone. Men marched where it had been. Already their chant sank dead in the air. They shifted their packs and loosened their gladii, and the lift of their feet and the march was higher and more elastic. Silence hung about them like a shield. His neck prickled, his palms were wet on the reins. He looked about with different eyes. The road was raised as they always were. The land about was flat for a spear's throw on either side, and should have been cleared back to the naked turf for 3 spare casts beyond that. Once it might have been. The trees had certainly been felled at least to the start of the rising land. But in the last year, the men of the legions had been occupied with other things than making safe the roads, and the land was a havoc of scrubby new growth that could have hidden half the marching men and easily as many warriors. Both sides were not the same. To the left, The land rose gently to make a small ridge which was covered in scrub. To the right, it fell away more steeply, and the trees had been left to grow closer to the road. The engineers did not believe warriors would attack uphill. Corvus thought they were right. The danger all came from the left. He looked over and through the nettles and flowering thistles and green-berried thorns and the scrub elder, and saw nothing, only felt loathing and excitement and the almost readiness to attack. He drew his own sword and shifted his shield from shoulder to forearm. Sabinius copied him. "Valerius?" he asked. "I don't think so. I think I would know if he were here." Corvus shook his head. "Yes, I would know. He isn't here. But there is someone, many, waiting, watching." Their eyes scoured him. His guts clenched, and he thought he might be sick. But he always thought that, riding into ambush. It had never yet been true. Sabinius spat, sending precious water to the road. "They're going to try to pick us off from back to front, as they did with the 9th. Oh, my eyes are sore today. By the gods. I know, but we're not led by an idiot, and this serpent has a sting in its tail such as they've never encountered." Mama T's looking a bit haggard on it too. I had a good sleep, so I don't know why I'm so feckin' haggard. It's probably the heat, people are there. I don't handle the heat very well. Don't handle extremes of temperature at all. Got to follow the middle path, don't we? Never mind. There was release in action. The bay battle mare came round in a faultless spin and danced on the spot, perfect and beautiful and ready to fight. Loudly enough for those around to hear, Corvus said to Sabinius, "You have command of the first 2 troops at all costs. Protect the mules and the baggage." The lorikeets are here. "I don't want to sleep in the open tonight, even if you do. Excuse me. I'm going back to be with Ursus and Flavius at the rear." Ursus and Flavius were ready. The former had already deployed the nearest 24 men as flank riders, setting them in pairs, mostly to the left, staggered out and back, so that each outer man protected the side and back of his partner, and each outer pair covered the side and back of those on the inside. Dear Goddess. Flavius had command of the archers. Since last autumn, the Quinta Gallorum had retained 12 Scythian horse archers employed at insane expense, who dressed in silks and then complained daily of the cold and the mud, and had to be waited on and served hot spiced beef and olives and good wine, and given their own private cook, and must be set to train in secret with scouts all around to guard against spies, so that now, when they were most needed, they could be brought into action against an unprepared enemy with all the insanity of money and cosseting proved worthwhile, and not a man begrudging them a single olive. Sounds fabulous. Pity I failed at archery. One of many things I've failed at. What are we going to do, people of Earth? Try not to cry. But this morning I bought 2 little tiny sapphires that were within my budget, so I'm excited about that. As I can afford, bit by bit, I'll get a bit of a collection going, and I'll learn how to set stones. And I actually wanted them to do casting in place, or I could cast these in place, but they're faceted, and I'm scared that I might ruin them. But I guess they didn't cost a lot of money, so if they get ruined, they get ruined, people of Earth. But yes, I bought them from a gem dealer fresh from the mines up in Ruby Vale, way north of here, North Queensland. So I'm excited about that. Every now and then I just buy, 1 or 2 little things. One day, if I have a lot more money, I'll buy the occasional diamond and ruby and better quality stones, but I don't have money, so I just buy little bits and pieces here and there, just to inspire me to keep going and something to aspire to, people of Earth. And since I haven't been dancing for the last month, is it now? It's money I saved from that I would have spent on car parking and drinks, so it all goes, swings and roundabouts, builds up a little bit of, tiny bit of extra when I'm not spending money on cavorting with people who are disingenuous, or I'm not actually safe with, people of Earth. C'est la vie, babies. And not having even just those 2 drinks a week is better for my clarity of mind and my liver too. So there is that. I did feel like a drinky poos last night. I've got a bottle of wine put away that I thought about getting into and having, and I thought, no, don't need to drink to enjoy my life. I can just cruise on through. But sometimes you just feel like a bit of a tipple, But it's so hot, I thought I'm better to just stick to water and keep my mind clear. Got to have my mind sharpened like a finely honed blade, because you never know where the next attack might come from, and got to be well aware and well prepared. Sad but true. And people who begrudge you even a single olive are not your friends. I've had a lot of people being envious of me, which is quite insane given my level of poverty compared to most other people. It's really, they don't even like it about the thought that I might drag myself out and get myself into a better position. They even try to crush that. It's really savage. But I've been conscious of that for years, decades even, that I seem to have this kind of attribute where people are envious of me. It's truly insane and truly evil too. I'm not envious of other people. I appreciate other people's talents and what they've acquired through inheritance or through hard work or through creativity or through, shared growing and evolving through life and getting older and wiser and making better choices and not falling into traps of people who just want to use you. I'm never jealous of people who've made it. But life is precarious and dangerous, and it would have been nice if I had actually been supported in every aspect of my life, people of Earth. But, as it says in the Torah, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. It's just the way it is. But I know if I sit and just wait and am patient, the Lord gives again. This morning the Lord gave me, not really because I bought them, but 2 little tiny sapphires. They were actually at me, the spirits, a few days ago, and they said, this gem seller, she's a friend of yours on Facebook actually, befriended you on Facebook, and just inquire if she has any sapphires within your budget. You just never know, you might be lucky. And suggested that I actually do that, and it was perfect timing because they've got flooding up there and they need every penny they can get. So it was a win-win situation for both her and I, because my small amount of purchase isn't going to make a huge amount of difference, but every penny counts. And when I have more money, larger quantities of money one day, if ever, because there's no guarantees in life, I'll be able to buy something of higher quality. So I'm happy about that. I'm actually excited about it. With the little sapphires I bought, one was a sagey green colour, very pale, almost like an aquamarine to be honest, but I liked it. And the other one's a darker blue. And they've got little flaws and inclusions because they're untreated, but they're from a mine in Australia. Buying Australian sapphires directly from the mine feels good. I did buy a sapphire a long time ago, a few years ago. It wasn't very expensive. I think I only paid $40 for it. And it's pretty and it's bright pink, but it's heated, and the colour's just, I don't know how they do it, but kind of a consequence of the heating. So I thought, no, I'm going to try and buy, I still haven't set that little sapphire, but I thought I'm going to try and buy, more natural stones, even if they've got little flaws. And no idea what I'm going to make with them yet, but I'll see. Trying to find where we were at when I segued. Right, here we are. Sabinius spat, sending precious water to the road. What? I guess being hydrated. That's a strange expression though, wasn't it? Oh well. They're going to try to pick us off from back to front, as they did with the 9th. I know. Oh, we've read that. We're not led by an idiot, blah, blah, blah. It's funny, I didn't register that last time I read that. Right, here we go. Let us find where we were actually at. Begrudging them a single olive. Right. See how I can be a bit unconscious while I'm reading? I read that whole thing, didn't remember it until I reread it. It's a bit of a worry, isn't it? But it is hot, so, I'll cut myself some slack. Flavius had been given charge of them, the very pampered Scythian horse archers, and had come to care for them as the Atrebatan hound boy cared for the governor's blue-skinned hounds, and for much the same reason. They set him apart from the rest. He had taken the time to learn their language, which was more than anyone else had done, and he shouted to them clearly, pure as a bell, as Corvus approached. Like the hounds, the Scythians craved release into action. At the first of Flavius's calls, they began to string their small, wickedly curved bows and chose arrows from the packs on their horses' shoulders and knocked them, N-O-C-K-E-D, knocked them, quietly and unobtrusively, the better to keep secret from the watching warriors. Knocked is to put them into the bowstring. Just remembered that. I think that's what that means. I could be wrong. The rest of the troop rode forward at an even pace, not turning to look at them, or to point or do anything that might attract the enemy's attention. Their orders were unambiguous in this regard. The lorikeets are very happy today. Drinking out of the tulip flowers, which means they'll get drunk, people of Earth, or have drunk lorikeets. The flank riders covered them and had orders to die in their defence. That's nice, people of Earth. Following his own instructions, Corvus rode past them to the rear without looking. Flavius gave him a queer, half-friendly salute as he passed. Ursus nodded curtly. He had the same question as Sabinius, only asked with less tact. Is it, Valerius? If it is, he'll know what we do and how we do it. It's not Valerius. He's not here, but that doesn't mean he hasn't spent the last half-month drilling those who are. What do we do? Outfight them, said Corvus grimly. Corvus. and pray that word of the archers has never reached Valerius. Keep them facing the left. That's where the danger has to be. God, I've got so many ants on my upper thigh, it's ridiculous. What would my father-in-law of blessed memory say? Harry Aarons. He'd be laughing and he'd be saying, "You've got spilkers in your tuchus." I really have. Spilkers in my tuchus. Dear goddess. Right. That's Corvus, whom Valerius saw above Ludunum. He leads the cavalry. He's a friend to the Boadicea, and was sole friend once to Valerius. He is known on Mona. Cunimar lay with Brant in a patch of head-high nettles within half a spear's cast of the road. Even attacking the 9th, he had not been so close. He could see the beads of sweat on the faces of the men as they marched, and black runnels of it on the necks of the horses. He could see grit and flies and the dulled eyes of men who had marched fast for days and had many more days ahead of them. He heard pounding feet and the inane marching ditties, and closed his ears to them, so that the sudden blast of the trumpets had shocked him, and he had jumped and cursed and made himself lie still again. Brant had not jumped even when Corvus swung his bay mare out to the side within almost touch of her face. Amongst all the lime-painted, grey-greased warriors of Cunimar's she-bear, she alone was unpainted and almost unadorned. She wore a bright banded feather in her hair from the tail of a peregrine tiercel, and 2 eye teeth of a wildcat hung from a horsehide thong round her neck. She had worked dust and mud into her hair so that it looked like an upturned sod of turf. But for the rest, her skin was brown from a summer of sun and wind, and matte from the dust of the marching men. And before the first troop of the first cohort of the first century of the 14th Legion had passed, she had become another shadow in many shadows amongst the nettles. Are you singing to the birdies, little boy? The birdies are singing back. The pretty birdies. I can't even see them. I can hear them. They're not lorikeets. We'll just have a look. They're 2 little Indian minor birds, but it didn't sound like Indian minor birds for a minute there. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. sweet. Very sweet. Right. She lay still and silent and seemed not to notice the flies, except when he had agreed to attack the Legion early, before the remainder of the warriors joined them. Connemara had never seen her smile. He remembered stories his mother had told of Bryant as a girl on Mona and later in the battles of the invasion, of her grief at the death of her boy cousin and her vitality as she came out of it, and her fearlessness, so that she had lured an entire troop of Gaulish cavalrymen to their deaths, using her own body as bait. The fire of that was still there to be seen, but grief and joy had burned away equally in its heat, leaving her unyielding as iron. She was unquestionably a good warrior, even excellent. Connemara was coming slowly to the view that, next to his own family, she might be the best he had ever met. Now, from his left, without moving, she said, "Macama was right. They do have archers. Look." For the time it took 4 ranks of the wing to ride past, Connemara looked and saw nothing. Then he saw the flicker of a scarlet fletching, and from that traced the outline of an arrow, and so a bow, and a brown-skinned, hawk-nosed man who bore it. Once seen, it was easier to find the others. 12, he said. They're all here. Bryant had told him of the hidden danger the evening before, when the fires of the legions had been hot sparks on the horizon. My goodness, so many twittering birdies, little boy. That was 2 lorikeets flew past. All the birdies are happy today. It's starting to cool down a little bit. A bit more of a little light zephyr blowing through. By all the gods. Their own fire. I'll just repeat that. I think that's where we were at. Drifting, people are there. Drifting. Always happens around about the hour mark that I get tired. Start drifting. We'll start from the top of that paragraph, actually. Bryant had told him of the hidden danger the evening before, when the fires of the legions had been hot sparks on the horizon. Their own fire had been 3 barely red lumps of charcoal in a pit. Leaning into it, so he could see the red on her face, she had said, "Luan Macama has 3 informers among the Suluran scouts used by the legions. They report to him only in exceptional circumstances, and then only through an intermediary. Been bitten alive by bloody ants. It's insane, poor little guy. There haven't been any mosquitoes much this summer, which I'm grateful for, but it means the council's been poisoning in the forest. Normally there's a lot more mosquitoes and midges. Something to be grateful for at least though. If the truth has reached us cleanly, they have been keeping watch on a dozen brown-skinned archers who can shoot a dove from the sky and the hawk that is following it, and then turn and kill a hunted hare and the hound when both are going the opposite way. They can do all this standing or sitting or on horseback or in any direction. My hair won't behave today, it's just flying everywhere by all the gods. How far can they shoot? Kunama had asked. 2 spear casts accurately, 3 if they are aiming for a target as big as a warrior. Then, if we don't have more warriors than they have arrows, we are finished and all the lives wasted. No, Mikama has sent us with 5 slingers. All we have to do is to keep them alive while they target the archers. Can your she-bears do that, do you think? I don't know, he had said. Against mounted cavalry we are at a disadvantage. We can run in and cut the heel strings of the horses, but that's costly in lives. We can grow spears, but the archers grow spears. We can throw spears, but the archers will be faster. We can run at them, but we have not enough in numbers to overwhelm them. We could try to attack at night, but they are well fortified and have sentries at every second pace, who change 8 times overnight and are alert. What do you suggest? Brant had turned her head at last and looked at him. Warmed only by the embers, her gaze was long and cool and dispassionate. It was like being regarded by a hound. He had never enjoyed that. Eventually, she had said, I suggest that you ask the bear for help and do as she advises. He had asked the bear. The answer had not been distinct. He had danced to her under the first rise of the horned moon until exhaustion and the soft rhythm of palms pounded on the earth. They had not dared use the skull drums this close to the enemy, had lifted him out of himself and into the savage care of the beast to whom he was sworn. He had smelled the hot meatiness of her breath and felt the brush of her hair against his face and seen 1,000 bears set against 1,000 cavalry horses, ripping them asunder, leaving 3 dead. And somewhere in the chaos, a deer calf had died twice, and a serpent had coiled on itself and struck at the back of his head so that he could feel the puncture of its teeth in his scalp. Afterwards, he had retold it all to those who had pounded the earth, hoping one of them might see some clarity. It was Ulla who had said, "The slingers don't need much time, only long enough to see and kill the archers. We can do this if Brant can direct the slingers. We have the horned god of the hunt to guide us, and half a night to make real the dreams of the bear." Kunuma had not been sure then. He was not sure now. He wanted glory and the death of Rome, not the annihilation of the she-bear brought about because he had failed in his first duty as a leader to protect his warriors. The time for doubt was past. The end of the column was 8 horses away. The outriders were stepping within an arm's reach of his head. He offered his soul to the bear, knowing the value of it, and that all life was a lesson, to be mined for all it could give, even if, particularly if, that mining ended in death. "Let's go," he said, and reached for the spear haft that lay across the ground in front of him. Corvus said, "There, in the nettles." Something moved. All 12 of the archers fired. Arrows whistled, silk stripped fast on silk and embedded solidly in meat and bone. Someone or something died, twitching. Afterwards, the jangle of harness and pound of feet sounded as nothing, so that the air was filled with silence and 2 words of congratulatory Scythian spoken by Flavius. Hoarsely, Ursus said, "Gods, that was close. They could touch the horses almost from there." Corvus had to swallow to speak. "If we have not just shot a sleeping hog." "Hogs don't lie sleeping while 2 legions march by." Ursus waited and then said, "Do they?" Corvus said, "They might do, if they have been fed the right plants by the dreamers. Something feels wrong, I think. Move, cover the archers." The slingstone passed by his face. He felt the wind of it. In the sudden slowing of his mind, he believed that he could see the black paint that coated it. His soul shrank from the threat. An archer died. A second was knocked in the shoulder. "Right! They're on the right!" Corvus screamed it. A trumpeter, outstandingly courageous, sounded it clearly to the troop and the infantry ahead. By that act alone, the man made himself a target. He died for it, to a thrown spear, not a slingstone, at the same time as the 3rd of the 12 archers. There was time to shout his name and the promise of honours, so that his departing ghost and the men of his tent party might hear it, so that someone might survive and remember. I can smell the smell of someone baking bread. It smells lovely. And then there was mayhem and the howling of bear warriors up the line, as far as Corvus could see. Excuse me. And the screaming of horses and of men and women, so that no single voice had any chance to be heard. And only the trumpets and the standards kept discipline and order. Just want to see how much longer this chapter is, people are quite long, quite long. Another hour at the very least, maybe an hour and a half. Corvus killed a woman with red hair and brown skin and did not pause to see if he knew her. He ducked a stone and pushed his shield to cover Ursus, who had moved his own shield to cover Corvus. They each thrust and hit flesh and bone and tasted blood that was not their own. And their world shrank to the immediacy of survival, except that they had a duty to protect the infantry, and Corvus had to think also about that. There were warriors on the left now as well as the right. Corvus looked about and saw another trumpeter close to the knot of surviving archers who were firing from behind a human shield of cavalry and scoring hit after hit, earning with each shot the gold and effort and tedium of their keep. The trumpeter, Corvus mouthed it to Ursus, who nodded. They fought closer until the man saw them, and fought back so that they were joined in an island of relative calm, with death wounding all about. Sound the two-serpent strike. The man stared at him and grinned and sounded his trumpet so that the notes flew high and pure as larks over the fighting men. They had drilled and drilled until men and mounts equally knew what to do to the sound of that, and a horse would take its own part even if its rider were dead or beyond control. The bay mare knew it as well as the rest. Corvus felt the bunching of muscles beneath him and the straining for air and the kick of acceleration as she saw a gap and went for it. He made himself sleek and laid tight to the mane with his blade in one hand and his shield covering the horse as much as his own body, and let her carry him to relative safety. Ursus was behind him, and the trumpeter, and a growing band of his men. He swung round and felt the judder as the mare jumped off the road and began the curve that would strike at the backs of the attacking warriors. Ursus peeled away from him and rode the other way to the right. Every second man followed him round. My little Beau's commandeered the swing, and Kermie's up here on the perch and he's snoozing, closed his eyes, and little Beau's snoozing. I've put them to sleep with my reading. Hope I don't put you to sleep, people of Earth, my YouTube subscribers, audience, watchers, listeners, likers, commenters. You happy boy, Kermie? You a snoozy birdie. The snoozy birdie. Ursus peeled away from him and rode the other way, to the right. Every second man followed him round. For a moment all Corvus had to do was ride. He did so, and ignored the still small voice in the deeper part of his mind that wanted to know what it was the archers had first killed that might not have been a sleeping hog, but he dearly hoped was not a certain man. There were fewer warriors on the left side, and they were not experienced against horses. They died without fuss. Corvus saw a movement in the shrubs to his left and directed his horse towards it. The trumpeter followed, sending silver lark notes cascading behind. Flavius and two of the archers abandoned formation and came with him. The deer calf had died only once, when Kunama threw his knife into its chest. The wound had been small, easily stuffed with green grass and moss, so that there was no smell of fresh blood that might alert passing horses. He had sewn shut its anus and prepuce with sinews so that they did not leak, and similarly give it away. He broke its forelegs and worked them until they moved through the death stiffness. Brent had found and woven the birch bark to make ropes long enough and strong enough to reach and not to break. Pegging it in position without crushing the nettles had taken half the night, so that the sky was pale and the sun roaring red on the eastern horizon by the time they backed away, laying the bark ropes along cleared lines so that a stone would not cut or block them. They had time for a single test, with Brant on the roadway and Kunama on the far elder scrub, watching as much to see if he could be seen when he tugged on the end of the spear haft, as whether the movement it made was enough to catch the eyes of passing horsemen. So much had hung on it, so much had, ow, naughty, succeeded. So much was so close to failure. Corvus rode directly at him. Brant came up to a crouch. Without any sign of urgency, she picked a stone from her pouch and fitted it in her sling. Kunama had not known she used that. He regretted never having learned it himself. For no clear reason, he said. He loves Valerius and is loved by him. She smiled thinly. I know. They were close enough to smell the horses. She stood and drew back her arm. The brown-skinned man in red silk moved with the same certain speed. Frozen, Kunama said, "Archers, he has 2 of the archers." For the rest of his life, however short or long, Kunama would remember the pain in her face as Bryant picked one target from the 3 that were possible, and the startling accuracy of the stone and the venom with which it was sent, as if by killing the man who posed most danger, she might damage the others whom she hated most. She died, not knowing if she had succeeded. And Kunamar would also never forget the impersonal death of an arrow, of 3 arrows, sent with such speed that they might all have come from the same bow shot, so that there was not time for her parting soul to dally or consider the life that had been lived. She was alive, and then she was dead. And the only reason Kunama was not likewise was that Ula had thrown a spear and 3 others of the she-bear had come from the other side, and none of them was a slinger, but one was lucky and knocked the remaining archer from his horse, so that the immediate threat was over and Kunama could reach for the bear and fail to find her, and still drag his spear clear of the birch ropes and leap from the elder and fight and try not to die and not have to think yet at all about how he was going to break the news of Bryant's death to Sigfa. He saw a flash of movement on the edge of his vision. In a moment of fear-inspired madness, he hurled his spear. Corvus watched the second slingstone pass his face and did not need to look to see if this one was painted black, the better to send his soul to utter annihilation. He could feel the hatred in it as it passed. He heard the impact and the slump of a man falling and jinked the bay mare sideways in case there were more slingers, and swung with his sword for a warrior who came at him. He missed and missed again, and saw Briaka's son leap from cover and knew he had been recognised. A spear passed him harmlessly, and he pushed the bay mare forward into the melting maelstrom of warriors. He had more men and more horses, and they were, with all due modesty, manifestly better drilled than any native warriors. Even so, lesser men, more poorly drilled, had won against odds in the past, and horses are only valuable against infantry if those on the ground are afraid of horses and do not know them. The Iceni against whom he fought now lived and died and took their first steps on horseback. He fought, moreover, the warriors of the she-bear, who did not care about living, but only death in the embrace of the bear, and honour afterwards for the life lived complete. As if in proof the Boadicea's son, broke through the guards round the archers and drove his knife into the chest of one of the horses. Corvus watched him leap onto the back of the falling beast and take its rider down with him. Cunomar's blade flashed red. His face was frozen in a scream of pain and triumph that no sane man could stand against. No officer would ask it of those who trusted their lives to him. Except that there was a way for men who had drilled to perfection and who trusted their commander. Corvus shouted to the trumpeter, "Line, call for a line, back here, form on me." The silvered lark song burst high over the carnage and ceased. The trumpeter curled up like a leaf, clutching his right shoulder from which a thrown knife protruded. His trumpet hung from the thong on his forearm. Corvus hacked once more at the shrieking banshee that assailed him. He thought it was a woman, but did not stop to look, and pushed the bay battle mare forward to the man's side. He used his own blade to cut the trumpet's cords and was grateful that he kept it sharper than was necessary and that the kills of the day had not blunted its edge, more grateful still that he had learned the skills of sounding the horn and the basic tunes of command. Half of his men had heard him shout in any case. They were already grouping into pairs and then threes and then sixes and eights to form the line that would sweep the battleground and trample into the earth those who thought to stand against them. Corvus wet his lips and lifted the shining weight of the trumpet and drew breath and sought the first note shakily, and was drowned by the brasher, louder sound of 10 horns braying in unison from the front of the column. "No, gods curse you, no!" He could have wept. The trumpet call was redundant. His men were on either side of him. Only 6 were straggling to catch up. One of those wounded, 2 assailed on both sides and unlikely to live. 18 men were with him, and they could have swept the broad, flat land from one end of the column to the other. We could still do it. Corvus looked to his left. Flavius was there, flushed and breathing hard and caught on a wave of victory. Their eyes met. Flavius grinned and did not hate him. He said, "We didn't hear it. The horns are too far. We can only hear you. Tell us to charge." 18 men wanted to believe that. Not one of them would have spoken against him later. Even the governor would have acknowledged that in battle not all commands can be heard. The deified Caesar had once failed to call back his men and had sent instead a second signal for luck when he knew they had run on to victory against his command. Against such a precedent, what general could discipline men who had fought and prevailed? Corvus lifted the trumpet to his lips. He had no need to call the line. They were already with him, drilled to perfection, sweeping around the fulcrum that he made, turning like the arm of a wheel to face south, so that they could run parallel to the road. The warriors were scattering. 2 more had died. The Boadicea's son was calling, to no avail. The horns brayed again, louder. The great bullhorn of the governor's own cavalry contingent that took 2 men to carry it sounded a single long, earth-shuddering note. The standards of both legions and the Quinta Gallorum swung hard to left and right. "No, damn you, not now!" Corvus hurled the trumpet at the hard ground. It bounced and his bay mare shied, and he kicked her, which was unforgivable. His men swept about him, hard-faced, protecting him in the depth of his folly, when he was too lost in rage to guard against the slingers or spear throwers who still assailed them. He cursed again and closed his eyes and swallowed and brought himself back into balance. Never in his life had he lost his temper in the field. He did so now and turned the battle mare and swung his arm for want of a standard, and with a bitterness that stayed with him for the whole of the fast, hard ride back to the column, led his men away from victory to follow the governor and protect the rear of the now running legions wherever they might lead. "They're gone," said Ulla. "Why?" The governor's horns called them back in a way they couldn't ignore. Why that should have happened is anyone's guess. Maybe Valerius has arrived early and attacked the front of the column, and they see him as more of a threat than us, and need their better troops to set against him. We can't catch them on foot. They must know that. Kornamar knelt by Braiant's corpse. Smell that waft of bread again. It's quite lovely. I wonder if I'm having a stroke though, because it's just intermittent. No, it's there. I'm not imagining it. Ah, well. Quite hungry now, smelling bread. Kornamar knelt by Braiant's corpse. His own body was lacerated with cuts and bruised all down one side where a horse had fallen on him. He felt nothing. He leaned over Braiant and put a hand to her throat to feel her pulse, as if she might still be alive, which was ridiculous, but he did it all the same. The arrows had passed into her chest in front and out again at the back, only lodged by their scarlet and black fletchings. Like that, she was unable to lie flat, but was arched as if in agony, with her chest reaching to the sky. She had not stiffened yet. Gently, Kornamar lifted her to sitting and propped her against his knee. He broke each of the arrows at the haft and laid her back again to rest. With his thumbs, he closed her eyes and held them shut for a while, that she might not stare so at the evening sky. Numbly, she was warrior of Mona. We should take her with us. Those she led will want to mourn her. Ulla said, Sigfa will want to mourn her. If she comes back. She went with the Boadicea, and we have heard nothing. It may be that they are not coming back. The thought rose unbidden from the formless fears of Kunamar's mind and was spoken before he could force it down. Ulla stared at him and opened her mouth and closed it again. She said, she will come back, and the Boadicea will come back, and then we have the legions trapped. Valerius isn't ahead of us. He'd have sent word with the scouts if he were. The legions aren't running towards war. They're running for safety to somewhere they can defend better than an open road. All we need do is wait for Valerius to bring up his sworn spears, and we have them trapped like sheep in a fold. Tomorrow we will set the war host on them, and by evening the land will be free of 2 more legions. Tomorrow. Unheralded, the old nightmare returned to Kunamar, of the bear turned at bay in its den, ready to savage the first fumbling fool to come near. This time he was in no doubt that the she-bear had sent him the image with all its portents of danger. Afraid to name it aloud, Kunamar made himself smile for Ulla. Tomorrow's too far to think of. First, we need to take the wounded back to the meeting place and hope that Valerius has reached it. He has Theophilus with him who can look to the injuries. When that's done, we need to build a pyre for Bryant that will show everyone how great she was. Will you help me carry her? Ulla put the flat of her thumb across his mouth and smoothed away the false smile. Her gaze peeled away the layers of his falsehoods. Of course, I'll always help you. Why do you ask? Why do you have to ask? And thus concludes chapter 37. What are you doing, little bow? Biting the metal like a crazy bird? What's that about? Never seen him do that before. Sharpening his beak, no doubt. What are you doing, Bo? That must hurt. He just keeps doing it. Never seen him do that before. My goodness. It's like a little woody woodpecker. This is heat exhaustion. Do you want a spritz? I'll give him a spritz. That'll stop him shedding his beak on metal. There we go. There we go. Would you like a spritz too, Tiki? Come a bit closer so I can reach you. Yes, not in your face. Come a bit closer, darling. There, gotcha. Gotcha good. Where is she? Come on, I know you're hot too. Don't run away. Calls you down, you mad bird. She'll get the idea eventually. Just like the boat and the Kermie are getting the idea. Is that nice? Is that nice? Yes. Don't have to self-harm by sharpening your beak on the bloody metal bars, boys. Right, people of Earth. May the gods bless and protect us all. Don't know what's happening to my nose there. It's peeling, it's doing weird things. It's not liking the new mask at all. I look a wreck. Who will ever love the mama tea? Doesn't matter now, does it? It's too little, too late. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow, no doubt, with chapter 38. We're nearing completion. How many chapters are left to go? I don't know. 4 or 5. Let me just see. We'll look at the index, shall we? The contents on there. Does it actually say how many chapters there are? Well, I'm curious. Curious minds need to know. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some are shorter. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then an epilogue. So there you go, people. 10 chapters. Oh, at the back of the book, stupid me didn't think to look, did I? Are the pronunciations of all the names. Well, this is going to be embarrassing. I'm going to find out I've been reading them wrong this whole time. So here we go. Tribal characters. I should have checked the back of the book like I did with Tolkien. It's weird that I didn't. Earmed of Nemain is pronounced Earmed. So I've been saying that the whole time. Earmed I've been saying. Frog Dreamer, lover to Briarca. Earmed is one of the Irish names of the goddess. Darkos, I had right. She-bear warrior of the Caledonies, former lover of Briarca. So she was clearly bisexual, people of Earth. But, you know, no judgment. Just, don't bother me with your bisexuality, people of Earth. It's weird as fuck to my mind. I'm heterosexual when I get going. I haven't been going, so maybe my bisexual friends are right. Maybe I was always meant to be a lesbian, but if you don't feel the attraction, you don't feel the attraction, do you, people of Earth? Dear Goddess. Anyway. Belos the Blind. Belos, I got that right. Former slave boy of the Belgae, brought to Hibernia and then to Mona by Valerius, now a dreamer of Mona. Okay, I've been saying Bryant, but it's Braint. 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 Warrior of Mona who fought with Briarca in the invasion battles, lover to Sigfa. Right. Briarca, I've been saying Briarca, it's actually Braiarca. Brayaka, also known as the Boadicea, from the old word Bodeg, meaning bringer of victory, thus she who brings victory. Brayaka is a derivative of the goddess Briga. Interesting. Caradoc I had right. Lover to Brayaka, father to Sigfa, Kunama and grain. I've had a quick glimpse, so I went, because I've been pronouncing grain wrong the whole time too. An entire story, and I've fucked it up, the entire story. You will forgive me though, won't you, people of Earth? You will forgive me my foibles. Mustn't pretend to ever succeed at anything, must we? That would be weird. Anyway, co-leader of the Western resistance against Rome. Civilis is pronounced, I've been pronouncing it with a C, is actually Civilis, hard K, Civilis, an officer of the Batavian wing of the auxiliary cavalrymen who fought with Valerius in the invasion battles. Cunobeline, I pronounced correctly, father to how is Caradoc spelt? Caradoc, yes. Got those two right. Caradoc and Cunobeline. Father to Caradoc, now dead, Cun, hound, Belin, the sun god, hence hound of the sun or sun hound. Cunomar, son of Brayaka and Caradoc, his name means hound of the sea. So I got quite a few right, which I'm pleased about, given I don't speak Welsh or Gaelic, or Cornish or Breton, Cornish and Welsh. Right. But she herself says they don't know the exact pronunciation, so you're free to make your own, but I just don't like being wrong, people are there. I hate being wrong. It's one of my worst prideful vanities. Being wrong, or being made to look wrong, or being humiliated, or being disgraced by bloodless, lackluster, piss-weak, nasty curs. Sorry, just had to go with that. When you're on the roll, you're on the roll. But it's a nasty thing to do to people. Make them look stupid or wrong, or cause them to feel like failures and worthless and useless, especially when it's done in front of an entire audience. That was savage. And for what? 0 fucks were given. That's for what? Fucking assholes. Anyway, where were we? The Sigfa, I've been saying fa, she says is pronounced Sigva. I was close though. Daughter of Caradoc and, can't pronounce that one at all, Cumfen, don't know. Half sister to Cunovar. Don't have a translation for her name. Dubornos, I got right. Singer and warrior of the Iceni, childhood companion to Briaka and Ban. Iborovic, I got right. Father to Briaka and Ban, now dead. Efnis, I got wrong. Should have been Efnish. Efnish, dreamer of the Iceni. Enneat, I pronounced wrong. It should be N8, innate. soul friend of Kunama. His name means spirit. Grain or grainy, I've been saying, is pronounced Gran-ya. The first A is pronounced like the O in bonfire. Well, then it should be Gronya. Gronya. But they've written Grania. Contradicted themselves there. Gronya. Well, I've been pronouncing her name wrong the entire time, dear goddess. Well, I can correct it now that I know, people of Earth. Gronya. Gronya sounds a bit like Sonia, but with a Gronya. Bonfire. Gronya. Okay. Daughter of Briaka and Caradoc. I'll probably forget, because I forget. It's not the same as not knowing, which I didn't know before. It's forgetting, which can be equally annoying. Guinevere I had right, daughter of Guinevere and dreamer of the Dumnoni. Hugh was, I got that right, because I knew a Hugh when I was growing up. A warrior of Mona, renowned for his skills with the sling, fought with Valerius in the Western Wars against Longinus Stapizzi's cavalry. Lanus, I got right, mother of Enate and a dreamer of the Esseni. Longinus is pronounced, got that wrong, Longinus. Longinus. Well, I was comparing it to longitude and latitude. Anyway, Longinus, formerly of the auxiliary cavalry, now fighting for the Boadicea's war host, lover to Valerius. His cracked and broken gravestone was found in Camulodunum, Colchester, during excavations. Now we come to, I've been struggling to say it, Luwain MacCalma. I've been saying it right. Didn't I say Luwain? Luwain MacCalma? Yes, I've been saying that correct. Well, I'm very pleased about that, because I really struggled with that in the beginning. I decided that's how I was going to pronounce it. Elder of Mona and Heron Dreamer, a prince of Hibernia. Matcha is pronounced, the CH is soft as in loch. So I've been pronouncing that incorrectly. It should have been macha. Macha. Ban's mother, now dead. Macha is a derivative of the horse goddess. Maeve, I did take the time to find out how to pronounce that, because it drove me bats that I couldn't even make it up as I went along. Maeve it's pronounced. A warrior of the Hibernians. And Valerius, dreamer and warrior, Briaka's half-brother, son of Macha and Luwain, a MacCalma. Until recently an officer in the auxiliary cavalry, formerly known as Ban. Roman characters. Latin is rather closer to our language, although we would pronounce the letter J as equivalent to the current Y. V would be W and C would be a hard K in all cases. However, this is so rarely used that it is simpler to retain standard modern pronunciation of these letters. Decianus, C would be a K, but we just use it the C. I'm going to go with the Roman pronunciation because otherwise it's just going to confuse me, people of Earth. Already confused. Can you tell? Decianus Catus, procurator of all Britannia under Nero. Flavius, standard bearer to Ursus's troop. Lucius, or that would be Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, aka Nero, Emperor of Rome. Didn't know that was his real name, but it's something today. Everyone just calls him Nero. Wasn't he the emperor that fiddled while Rome burned? Yes, he was. Petilius Cerialis, legate of the 9th Legion. Quintus Valerius Corvus, prefect of the Ala Quinta Gallorum. Sabinius, standard bearer to the 1st troop, directly under Corvus's command. Suetonius Paulinus, governor of all Britannia. Ursus, decurion of the Ala Quinta Gallorum, serving under Corvus. Right, now we know. Will I remember the pronunciations of the ones I kept getting wrong? Civilis, Sigva, Niche, Innate, Bronya, Longinus, Stapizzi, Mach'a, Maeve. I think I've got it, people of Earth. What was the other one? Breaka. Ermed. Well, anyway, for the next 11 chapters, I'll try to pronounce their names correctly. What was Brant again? Brant. Right. I'll be back. Having a bit of a crisis. I'll be back tomorrow, people of Earth, with chapter 38. In the meantime, have a beautiful day in the space-time continuum. The Romans from the story probably want to kill me for mispronouncing their names, and the warriors of Mona across all various tribes want to kill me for mispronouncing their names. And who else wants to kill me? Legion. Do I care? No, they could fuck off. Meanwhile, I'm being bitten by ants who all want to kill me, but can't because they're too little and there's not enough of them, but they would if they could too. And in the meantime, let us rejoice in the beauty of Australia. Look at the blue skies and the big fluffy clouds and the frangipani tree and all my beautiful bamboo tree and my beautiful birdie boys. Say goodbye to the people of Earth, birdie boys. We've finished another story today. Say goodbye. Say hello, goodbye, I love you. Oh, they're cute. And, oh, now my nose is itchy. I'm going to make myself a late lunch, which is probably a normal time to have lunch, given what time I got up. A bit hungry. And, blessed be from Sacred Space. And remember, as always, to never ever let the bastards grind you me us down. Bye for now.